Sources tell me that they believe when House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and congressional members return from recess in September, an impeachment inquiry into President Biden is likely. Reacting on social media, Kevin McCarthy writes this: "Everyone in America could see what was going to come next. DOJ's attempt to distract from the news and attack the frontrunner for the Republican nomination, President Trump. House Republicans will continue to uncover the truth about Biden Inc. and the two-tiered system of justice." Joining me right now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive, Florida Congressman Byron and Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Both are members of the House Oversight Committee, and both believe they have enough evidence to begin an inquiry into impeachment. Thanks very much for being here, both of you. We so appreciate your time.
Good morning.
Thank you, Maria.
Congressman Donalds, I want to start with you. What evidence have you seen to indicate potential bribery? I want to get both of your takes on the evidence that is most damning right now in this case.
Well, for me, the evidence that's most damning is what happened with Burisma. Hunter Biden goes on the board simply because he's the conduit to Joe Biden. There is a conference call, a business meeting at Cafe Milano, where Joe Biden just shows up there with some of the Burisma executives. There's a board meeting in Dubai in 2015 where they look at Hunter Biden and say, "Hey, we need help from D.C. Make the call." 3 months later, Shokin, the prosecutor in Ukraine, is fired, and Joe Biden brags about using or withholding $1 billion in U.S. aid, putting pressure on Ukraine to get the prosecutor fired. That's an open and shut, damning case of bribery with respect to Joe Biden when he was vice president of the United States. You add in the fact that you have Yelena Bartiromo, the widow of the Moscow mayor, how she paid $3.5 million to Hunter Biden and to Devon Archer, and as she's left off the sanctions list when Vladimir Putin invades Ukraine. This stuff stinks. There's some of the evidence, and we got a lot more.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, we've also heard from James Comer, the chairman of your committee, that the money taken in from the Biden family went through 20 different shell companies and then ultimately made its way into Biden family accounts. Same question for you. What evidence is most damning from your standpoint?
That's right, Maria. And just as Byron walked you through so much of the evidence that is clear and present for anyone to see, the American people, the entire world, we have done a lot of work on the Oversight Committee. And in our investigations, not only have we uncovered a 1023 form outlining a $5 million bribe to then Vice President Joe Biden, but we also read thousands of pages of SARS reports in the Treasury Department showing clear proof of alleged crimes, and those were from bank reports. Then we subpoenaed bank statements, and we looked through the bank statements, and we have clear evidence of wire transfers from countries all over the world, China, Ukraine, Romania, going into these dozens of LLCs. And the Bidens aren't selling products. The Bidens aren't selling a service. You can't buy the Biden brand off the store on a shelf. But you know what? Powerful people and businesses all over the world were buying the Biden brand right through Hunter Biden. And Devon Archer confirmed that for us just this past week in his transcribed interview, saying that Joe Biden was on the phone more than 20 times with these business partners and that Joe Biden himself is the brand. And Maria, now we have a letter all the way back in 2011 from Joe Biden himself directly to Devon Archer, saying that he was sorry he didn't get to meet with him. He was with the president of China, and that he's happy that Hunter and Devon are working together. This is proof that Joe Biden has lied repeatedly to the American people, that not only has he always known about his son Hunter's business dealings, but he's been very involved to the level that he has been in conversations with his business partners many, many times.
Yeah, I saw the letter. Do we have a picture of that letter? It is on vice presidential stationery. The letterhead says the Vice President of the United States, a letter from Joe Biden to Devon Archer. I guess, you know, the amount of money is in question. Nancy Mace, who's also on your committee, the congresswoman told me the other day that she thinks the Biden family has taken in upwards of $50 million. What evidence have you seen in terms of the amount of money this family has taken in from foreigners? What do you think about that, Byron?
Well, we already know that in the Oversight Committee a few weeks ago, you have the IRS whistleblowers who testified in open hearing that when through their investigation, they tracked down $17.3 million. You take a look at what the Oversight Committee, I think right now we're somewhere upwards of $30 million, if not more. What's happening here is you have so many members and so many different groups have been investigating this. But one thing's very clear, Maria, whether it was the independent IRS investigation or the Oversight Committee, in open hearing, Chairman Comer said that we were already up to $23.5 million and going higher, because the more you dig into this web of corruption surrounding Joe Biden, you're finding more countries and you're finding more foreign companies that were front groups for oligarchs across the globe.
Well, this leads me to the question of an inquiry into impeachment. Congressman Donalds, where are you on that? Do you believe this is going to be a priority when you all come back in September?
I 100% believe it's a priority. This must occur. Listen, the Democrats wish they had this kind of information on Donald Trump. Congress never had this kind of information on Richard Nixon. If you can't begin an impeachment inquiry with this much damning evidence and financial track records and detail, then I don't know what Congress is doing. I believe we're going to start that inquiry when we get back.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, same question for you. Do you feel you have enough votes in the membership to actually impeach Joe Biden?
I don't think we're quite there yet, Maria, just to be honest with you, but I hope that the amount of overwhelming evidence that has come out and continues to pour out will convince those members that are still on the fence. And Maria, to be honest with you, I'm so thankful you're covering this issue, because it's been a full blackout from the mainstream media. And these members that still aren't quite there to be able to vote for an inquiry need to hear from their people back home in their districts. And that's why it's so important to let the American people know what's going on. Because here's the deal. When we have proof, overwhelming proof like we do now, that the President of the United States has lied repeatedly to the American people, that is exactly the evidence we need and that has been used in the past to open an impeachment inquiry. And a vote for an inquiry is not a vote for impeachment, but what it does is it allows Congress to have more power behind our subpoenas and move into an investigation revealing more evidence to see if articles of impeachment need to be considered. And I fully believe that that is exactly what Congress should start doing when we come back in September.
Okay, so you'll get value out of an inquiry because it gives you more power to investigate.
Yes, that's right.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, Byron Donald, same question for you, but I also want to get your take, Congressman, on the timing of all of this, because we have this graphic here, and it's awfully coincidental. Every time we see a scandal around the Biden family, we get an indictment or an attack on Donald Trump. March 16th, Comer reveals the Biden family payments. April 4th, Trump New York criminal indictment. June 8th, the GOP views Biden bribery 1023 form when we see a shakedown of Hunter Biden to a Chinese partner. June 9th, Trump classified indictment. July 26th, Hunter has a plea deal that falls apart because his lawyers tried to sneak in there immunity for everything. The next day, Trump is additional charges from Jack Smith. And of course, when Devin Archer testifies on July 31st, Trump is indicted on January 6th. Congressman, what do you think the DOJ is trying to do here?
First, the DOJ is corrupt in my view. They are obstructing justice, especially when you look at how they were handling all these dealings with Hunter Biden. But to a broader perspective, what the Department of Justice is really doing is they want to bleed Donald Trump dry. They want him to use up so many campaign resources with these terrible, phony indictments that it's going to be hard for him to mount a challenge of the presidency. And for the American people, understand what this means. This means that the Democrat Party and Joe Biden are using the power of government to basically turn the screws on their political opponent. That is un-American. That is not what our country should be doing. And so for all the accusations against Donald Trump through the years, Joe Biden is doing the thing that they were saying to the American people they were afraid of Donald Trump doing. It is despicable.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene, the irony of the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken tweeting out this week is just extraordinary. Let's take a look at this tweet from Anthony Blinken. The United States strongly condemns Russia's conviction of opposition leader Alexei Navalny on politically motivated charges. The Kremlin cannot silence the truth. Navalny should be released. Are you kidding me? Congresswoman, your reaction.
Yeah, the amount of hypocrisy is too much to take, Maria. And I'll follow up with Byron just now. The Department of Justice is now running the 2024 presidential campaign because Bidenomics is failing America. People can hardly afford gas. They can hardly afford groceries. And many seniors on a fixed income are choosing between paying rent and being able to buy their medications. People are drowning in inflation, and America is failing under Bidenomics. They have no policies to run on. The only thing they can run on is to continue smearing President Trump's name. And I just want to follow up and say, Maria, the more times they indict President Trump, the more people realize that the Biden administration is a communist regime. And for the first time, Americans are actually seeing what communism really looks like. And we have to stand up to this. This is why Republicans in the House, when we come back in September, we have to vote for an impeachment inquiry because it's the right thing to do. Whether Joe Biden took $5 to his name for corrupt business deals or whether he took $40 million, it does not matter. It's up to Republicans to do the right thing and not allow the Department of Justice to win the 2024 presidential election for Joe Biden.
It's all extraordinary, and we will certainly be watching both of your work. Thank you so much for being here, Byron Donalds and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congressman, Congresswoman, thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the Oversight Committee.